Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Creamerie Season 1, Episode 1 and 2. So this is a New Zealand drama post-apocalyptic comedy show. This is actually the second New Zealand show I have ever watched. The first one was a web series, which I will be talking about one day in the future. But most of the time, like because they're in New Zealand, we don't get a lot of their shows over here in the States. But I have seen this one Australian show where they filmed the second season in New Zealand. And also there's this, and I've seen plenty of American shows filmed in New Zealand. But this is, like I said before, the second New Zealand show I've ever watched. And so when I was on Hulu, because it's on Hulu, I saw something called Creamerie, and I'm just like, what is this about? And I'm like, why is there a picture of like a vagina monologue, like a flower and stuff, like in the little corner part? But it was an all Asian cast, so I was very curious and everything. I didn't know what the show was about. I didn't know where it was filmed or nothing like that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check it out, see what it is. And like I said, it's a post-apocalyptic comedy drama that deals with a virus that killed men. So men have been off the earth for about 8-9 years, and women now rule the world. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So it's one of those shows. And so I'm just curious. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check it out and everything. And so as I'm watching it, I'm just like, okay, this is interesting. Get to the point. I'm like, oh god, gross. Not men butts. Cause that's the opening scene, men's butts. I'm like, God, why? This is the second show I've seen online that did that crap. I'm so tired of seeing man booty on TV. And that's all you see now. You don't see nude women no more. And there are scenes where women are supposed to be naked in the show, but they don't show it. And it's just kind of like, I'm tired of seeing man booty. And so so at first I was gonna turn it off, but then I just fast forward, and then it got to these women talking. And then so it started picking up, but it didn't pick up in no interesting kind of way. So I'm like, what the world is going on? So I kept watching it and stuff. Now I will say the comedy in here is a little bit hit or miss for me, but for the most part it's okay. Now this show was created by the 3 lead actresses and everything. When I do a rundown review, I'll get more in detail about that. But yeah. So this show, the first episode. So the opening is a bunch of men in a locker room or a shower room type place, and all of a sudden they start spewing up blood. Don't know why, they just are. Then it cuts from that to 8 years later, and we see a bunch of women in this type of monastery type group thing called Wellness. So since now women rule the world, Wellness is kind of like the top organization that gets women together and keeps them stable and stuff like that. It's also a little shady and everything, and they have very strict rules in this new world order. In this new world order, I don't know about the rest of the world, this is just New Zealand. And so, but I'm assuming that all the men are dead everywhere, but this is just showing what happens in New Zealand in their new world order. And their new world order, you are not allowed to say the word boy, men, male, or even oh my god. You have to say oh my god, goddess and everything. And so the show revolves around these 3 women. I'll get into them a little bit later. So the 3 women are there. Actually, I'll get into them now. There's Jamie, Pip, and Alex. They all live at a farm, a dairy farm. And let's see, I'm trying to think. Jamie and Alex, they are stepsisters and stuff, because Jamie was once married to Alex's brother, and then Pip is their friend. Pip works for Wellness. Pip is kind of Pip is the shy, dopey, scaredy friend. Alex is the rebel. And Jamie is the one who tries to keep everybody together, the headstrong one, stuff like that. So Also, I forgot when it came to this show, I actually heard about it way before I ever watched it because there's an actress, Kim Crossman. She was the second female Red Ranger in Power Rangers, and she posted something about this. I'm all like, oh, since this is from New Zealand, I'll never be able to watch it, so I didn't pay no attention to it. Didn't know it was gonna be on Hulu. So she's there. She's like the assistant to like the main lady, and the main lady is talking, and all of a sudden, Alice decides she's gonna throw her smoothie at the woman. Her smoothie is green. It's everywhere, everywhere. So she gets in trouble. She's taken to like a detention center, and while she's there, she's making out with one of the guards. So of course, if all the men are gone, then of course a lot of the women are now going to turn like lesbian and stuff because they have sexual needs too. So they do it, and then when they wake up, Alex blackmails the guard and tells her like, I promise to keep my mouth shut if only you shoot me. And when she means shoot her, see, the thing is, there's like, hey, when people start breaking the rules, one or two things happens. They either get lobotomized or they get this drug inserted into the back of their neck. And the drug is like this little bluish purple ball, like a gummy ball, that goes in the back of your head and releases like the drugs and everything. It basically makes you loopy in the head because the whole lobotomization thing is a whole lot worse and stuff. So there's like this gun and it injects like the little drug in the back of your neck. So she has her do that. And it was all part of her plan. And there's a reason for that. Now, when we get to Jamie and stuff, the thing with Jamie is that okay, all of these girls have PTSD, except for Pip. Pip, so far, it doesn't. Jamie's PTSD, I think I'm saying that right. God, I hope so. Hers is that she misses her family. She misses her husband and she misses her son. 8 years ago, she gave birth to a little boy. When the virus hit, it took out both her son and her husband. She has not been right in the head since. She desperately wants a child. And the thing is that she's one of those type of women where it's almost impossible for her to have a baby. The only time she was ever able to have a baby was 8 years ago with her son. So in this world, since there are no men, there's still semen around from like sperm banks and stuff. And so with this show, you have to go through like this fraternity clinic and you have to do a lottery. Not just anybody's allowed to have a baby. They only hand select certain people. And so Pip has, she tries to like put in good words for her, stuff like that. So she gets accepted and she has to go through this process. And they tell her it's a 50-50 chance rate. And if you have a boy, they tell you it's automatically gonna die. So she's very longing for like a child. Now, we also see Jamie go to like a brothel and everything, where she does it with this one woman, but it's a stipulation. She wants the woman to dress a certain way. She wants her to dress like a man, but not just any man, in the clothes of her dead husband. Her husband wore like a beanie and he wore like a red flannel shirt. This red flannel shirt is something she wears throughout the show. Or at least in the first 2 episodes. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. And so while she's doing this woman, she's picturing that this woman is now her husband. And it's one of those things that emotionally she just cannot take. Now, Pip doesn't do much in this. So Alex, they took her back to the house, and when she wakes up, she's drugged out of her mind. So when she wakes up, she sees a note that she wrote for herself before she got drugged. And so it's one note that leads to like another and to another and another. It's her way of remembering stuff of who she is and all this other stuff and the mission that she is on. So and it's simple little messages that are like hidden in type of code to her. So it's like, say like, oh, go brush your teeth and this and that. So when she goes into the bathroom, there's another note, and it says something about like open this and take out the scalpel and then remove the lumpy thing in the back of your neck. So all drugged and dazed, she does that, and when she does, she's back to normal. There's blood all running down her neck, the back of her neck, and all over the bathroom and her shirt and stuff. And she takes the little blue drug ball and she goes to like this nursing home. And there we see this elderly Asian woman. Remember I said the main cast is like Asian. The three main females are like Asian. And so, because New Zealand. In New Zealand, they have all kind of races over there. I will say this, when it comes to Asian people in New Zealand, they look like other Asian people, but there's something slightly off about them, like in their skin tone and their eyes, that I've noticed by watching American shows filmed in New Zealand. So she takes the blue ball and she's talking to the lady. The woman is her mom. There's a huge scar on the side of her head. Her mom has been lobotomized and stuff. Alex hates the wellness program. They are the one who did this to her. Why did they lobotomize her? In the second episode, I'll tell you. So when Alex leaves and everything, she takes the blood from the back of her neck and she's smearing it all over the wellness posters that she sees in town. And they're everywhere. Wellness pretty much controls the entire like city or probably the entire country and stuff. And so like, as Alex is walking all the way back home, because they live on a dairy farm, like I said, Pip and Jamie are like talking about something. And so all of a sudden they realize like Jamie is like missing. So they go look for her because they think she's still drugged and everything. So her wandering around the streets ain't good. So as they get in the back of their truck, they bag up and they hit something. And they see there's a body laying in the ground. And they're worried and scared out their mind. They think it's Jamie. But then not Jamie, but Alex. But then Alex shows up. So they're like, okay, well, if it can't be Alex, then who is it? And they look at the clothes and they're all like, those look like man clothes. And she's all like, you're not allowed to say the word man. And so they're like, flip her over. They flip the body over. It's a man. They are shocked beyond out their mind because there hasn't been a man seen in over 8 years. He wakes up in a frantic state and jumps at them. And then Pip like knocks him out. And then it ends. So the question is, where did men come from if all the men in the world have been like wiped out because of a virus and everything? And what does this mean? Now, interestingly enough, there's a show I used to watch back in the 90s called Sliders. It's like my favorite all-time show. It's actually how I started doing this channel and stuff when I started doing that. And so there are 2 episodes in Sliders because they travel to parallel dimensions. And in that show, there's one called Weaker Sex, where women control the world and men are second class to them. And so it shows that even though women control the world, life is not better. They're just as corrupt as men. They're greedy for power and money and stuff. Then there's another episode called I forgot what it's called. But it's a show that deals with a virus taking out the population of men. And the men that survive are placed in breeder camps. And so like when the Sliders go to that world, because there's 3 men and 1 woman, they thought those 3 men had like escaped. So the women are like bum rushing them, trying to like sleep with them and everything. And it talks about how like women are selected in the lottery to have certain babies, because not just anybody can have a baby. They don't want anybody just repopulating the world. They only want people with strong genes and stuff. And this is what this show reminds me of big time. Now let's get into episode 2. So episode 2 picks up exactly where it left off. The man who they ran over, something lodged in his leg, like a piece of metal. He is now bleeding out and dying. So the women have to help him. Pip is, the nervous, jittery one. So she's scared and all this other stuff. And so when they help him and everything, of course he passes out from lack of blood and stuff like that. Well, there's a problem now. Michelle, who's played by Kim Crossman, who's like the assistant at the wellness place. She comes over for like some reason, I forget why. And so Jamie and Pip have to be the one to like talk her and try to like get her to go. I think it's like an evaluation or something like that. And so like Alex is left with the dude. And when the dude wakes up, the dude is, well, Alex is going through all his stuff and he has a bunch of survival stuff. Blanket, pocket knife, jugs of water. He wakes up, he drinks the water. He tries to attack Alex. She has no idea why. And so they fight and they scuffle loudly to where like Michelle can hear. Michelle is kind of like, what's going on? So she goes in there, and when she does, it's just Alex sitting by herself. And she's playing with the paintbrush, pretending like she's like cuckoo in the head and everything. Alex tased the crap out of this dude. Now, I don't know what this thing is called. It's a long stick with a U shape into it. And I think they use it for like the cows and stuff. And it electrocutes the crap out of people. So he's knocked out. Pip, because she's the skittish one, she wants to tell Michelle what is going on. And so Jamie's all like, no, you can't do that and all this other stuff. So they're at odds with that. And so something happens where Pip tells like a bunch of stuff, but she don't tell exactly what's going on. And she reveals some things about kind of like Jamie that gets her kicked off the program to get a child. But she doesn't understand what happened, you know. She don't understand why the wellness director did all that stuff. So she tries to talk to her, and she's all like, oh, because of your information, we're going to make sure Jamie never has a kid and blah, 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 because she's not worthy enough like to have a kid and blah, 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 blah. Don't know what Pip exactly said, but I don't even think Pip, like I said, Pip did not rat them out whatsoever. This woman is just being spiteful and vindictive for like a certain reason. And so she knows that it has to do with whatever Michelle overheard at the barn and stuff. And so when the dude comes to, Alice is asking him a bunch of questions. She wants to know, like, how did he survive? He's all like, he's not the only one. There's a group of men. Only about 99.9% of the men died. There's only a small handful left, and they're in hiding. Why? They're being hunted by a bounty hunter. And we see this bounty hunter. She has photos of, like, well, the dude's name is Bobby. And so, like, she has photos of him and she's driving, looking for him and stuff. And so, like, they don't understand how this dude survived. Because, you know, with every virus, there's always those that have immunities and stuff. And so, like, so him and Alex start to, like, bond a little bit. To where they you know, is like they're no longer trying to like kill each other and stuff. And she tells him what happens when there's a wellness program when you go against the rule. Now her mom, I said she was lobotomized. They put a drill on the side of her head. Why? Because her mom kept saying there are still men left in this world, and she believes that. And I think she's seen some. And the wellness program shut her up by lobotomizing her and stuff. This is why Alex hates them so much. And she said, like, she should have believed her mom. Her mom was right and everything like that. So Jamie, after finding out she got kicked out the program, she is desperate for a child. She goes to Bobby and she wants his sperm. She's gonna inject it inside herself because when she's on the farm, she impregnates the female cows and stuff. I don't know if all male animals are dead, but you know, that's what they was doing in the first episode when they was like fertilizing the cow. Anyway, she's desperate and she's looking creepy. She's looking psychotic, talking about, all I just need is like your sperm and everything like this. And she's freaking him out. He's not saying a word, but he's terrified. And so she's all like, you can put it in this cup for me and all this other stuff. She's all like, oh, you need to be turned on. So she starts like doing like her pretend sexy dance, which is not sexy at all. It's like a comedy show. So she doesn't know what she's doing. And plus she's very desperate at this moment. And so like, then she's all like, oh, but do you like these? And she flashes him. Now, remember when I said this show shows male nudity, but not female? Well, she flashes and we don't see nothing. We just see the back of her. And then Pip comes in. She's all like, you put those away. She's all like, 8 years, no men, and look what you did, man. You're making her horny and stuff like that and stuff. And then so Jamie tells Pip that, you know, she has a very small chance of ever making a child, even if she does get on the lottery program and stuff. And Pip feeling like bad about like something that happened with Michelle that caused her to kick her out the program. She goes back to the barn. We don't see what happens, but she comes back with a cup of sperm. It's nasty looking too. Ugh, it's nasty looking. Why they have to show visuals, man? And don't know what Pip did to get that dude to like go jizzy popping and everything, but he did and stuff. And so like Jamie like thanks her and it ends. So now, and so it makes you now wonder what's gonna happen in the third episode, because I have no idea. And so this is a very interesting show. It's only 6 episodes. It came out last year, and so far it hasn't been renewed for a second season. So it makes me wonder. I'm kind of hoping it does, because I'm kind of now getting interested more in this show and stuff. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.